Hello there. Welcome to Blitz Transmissions. This is the Blitzcast number 74. I'm Tommy. Before we get into the content of this week's episode of the Blitzcast, as always, check out the laundry list of links that can be found in the description below. Of course, I would always say subscribe to YouTube as well, first and foremost, because that's where most of my content comes out, and I've got awesome Star Wars content coming out all the time. If you're an ARC Trooper in my Patreon, you would have seen this Blitzcast episode early. If you'd like access to early content, monthly giveaways, and other awesome benefits, the link to my Patreon is in the description below. Become an ARC Trooper for just $4.99 a month. If you're a fan of the reviews I do on YouTube, or you just want to support the YouTube channel more directly, you could also check out my YouTube channel membership, Rancor Battalion, for just 99 cents a month. It gives you access to exclusive badges, priority replies in my comment section. You get to vote on what I review next for the channel, just like the Patreon members do, and like the Patreon members, you do also get to check out all my reviews early, just here on YouTube, not on Patreon. If you'd like some Blitz Transmissions swag, like this Blitz Transmissions trucker hat I have on here in the heather gray and white combo, as well as other colorways and other awesome merch options as well, be sure to check out the Blitz Transmissions Armory. That's over on Printify, and you can also find links in the description to my social media, including Discord, my Instagram, my Blitz Bounties Instagram, my TikTok, my X, my email, if you want to email me at blitztransmissions@gmail.com. I'm also considering making a Facebook page. Let me know if you guys would be interested in that, if you would prefer, honestly, if I, start a following on Facebook. I've been getting invited to some Facebook groups recently, and so I kind of want to dive more into. I know there's a huge pool of people that can be tapped into in the Star Wars, community and Star Wars collecting community. They're on Facebook. So let me know. Would you guys want me to do that? Maybe I'll explore that based on the reception from you guys. So let me get a couple things out of the way here. First, I know, it's been a few weeks since we've had a Blitzcast episode, but there is reason for that. No excuse is a good excuse in this case, but it's an excuse nonetheless. If you can't tell by the sound of my voice, I'm sick. I'm coming out the other end of it right now, but I'm just very achy, and right now I'm all doped up on Dayquil and coffee and all that. So once this comes down, I'll go back to wanting to hibernate. But because of that, there really hasn't been much content coming out lately, and that really frustrates me because I've got all kinds of videos I want to do. I've been getting so much stuff in the mail lately. We're on the cusp of Mando and Grogu dropping. I got the new QT-KT Droid Factory in I want to review. Got new Black Series. I don't even know where they are. They're right here. I've got the Quinlan Voss and the Seventh Sister Inquisitor here. I have so much stuff that I want to cover here on the channel. It's been difficult. I've been sick. This is probably day 4 of being sick, and it sucks, and I'm not a fan of it at all. So, but your health comes first, so I had to acknowledge my health and not do what I usually do, which is push myself beyond my limits. I've also been, however, rearranging my room. If you watch on YouTube or Spotify, you'll see that a lot of these figure shelves look very different, and you will now see a very prominent presence of the vintage collection line. I'm not going to lie, I think I've gotten a little bit unmotivated with my room. For the last couple months, I haven't really done my monthly, room tour updates, and I haven't been as, excited about my display lately. So, when I was sick home the last couple days, and when I was feeling up and about, little by little, I was like, what, I want to kind of change the scenery here. So I went ahead and I changed a ton of my display, and it's really also motivated me. Honestly, that's probably what motivated me to sit down and make this podcast. I have no idea how long this podcast is going to be, but yeah, I'm really happy with this right now. I've got my Mando seasons 1, 2, and 3. I've got the prequel trilogy behind me here. I've got my TVC with my clone army here. I feel like this is much more representative of what I'm excited about with my channel right now. And so because of that, I decided, and you can also see Ahsoka down here in the corner below the Mando seasons. Yeah, I feel like this is much more representative of what I'm excited about and what I cover most on the channel right now. So I figured it would be cool to especially include vintage collection into my backdrop here. But that is something that I've been up to that's been really, motivating me to like, I wanted to sit in front of the camera and record today. We're going to, again, this might only go like 20 minutes. We'll see how long I babble on for. Because again, I don't have too much of a topic planned for this week. It's just mostly going to be like a housekeeping episode and like a, hey, I'm still alive kind of episode. He's still alive. But, yeah, so in regards to the Facebook thing, there were a couple Facebook groups I wanted to shout out. I wanted to shout out Dean Lee 375's Facebook group for Vintage Collection, as well as John Miko's group for Vintage Collection, both on Facebook, and then Chris K, who is a member of the Blitz Transmissions Patreon. He's an ARC Trooper. And by the way, let me also mention, guys, it is super windy right now where I live. We're like going through the middle of like a storm right now. The rain hasn't exactly started yet, but we have 60-mile-an-hour winds right now. So my sliding door that's broken outside, well, my screen door that's broken outside of my sliding door on my balcony out here is sliding back and forth and bonking around, and the power has flickered on and off a few times in the last few hours, so who knows when you guys will even see this. I might lose power completely in the middle of recording this while I'm editing. Who knows? We're just kind of rolling with the punches right now, and that's kind of been an attitude that I've been adopting lately, and this kind of evolved from... Let me finish my first point first. Shout out to Chris K in the Patreon. He is creating a new Facebook group for Vintage Collection Republic Gunship backers for the HasLab. So I let him know he can plug it in my Discord if he wants to. If I do set up a Facebook for Blitz Transmissions, I will definitely join it and try to be active, semi-active in there. But I wanted to shout out those 3 Facebook groups because those are 3 that come to mind when I think of like groups that I've been invited to lately. Yeah, it's something I'm thinking about. So if you guys are, Facebook users, if you think that I should, maybe lean into Facebook, it wouldn't be anything more than I do on, my Instagram, where it's mostly like an announcements page. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Back to what I was saying though. Lately I've kind of, I'm talking the last few weeks on the podcast about giving up my, frustrations and anxieties to God a little bit. And I think that now that has developed into a different mindset now, where as I've, been more consistent in when little menial things frustrate me, being better about being I'm a very adaptable person, but being better about having a good attitude about being adaptable. Just because I'm adaptable doesn't mean that I have a good attitude about it all the time. So I have been adopting the mindset of, and I got to talk about this with Skywalker Hendricks recently. Shout out to Skywalker Hendricks. The mindset of, rather than oh, I'm so busy, I have to do this, and I still want to do this and blah, blah. No, what a privilege it is for me to have so many things that I get to do that I can't make time for them all. That's such a privilege. Many people don't have that, privilege to have so much that they get to do, and so much that they, excuse me, get to be a part of that sometimes you have to compromise and make sacrifices. You can't make time for everything every day because there's so many fun and awesome things that you get to be a part of. So that's kind of been the mindset I've been adopting. I feel like that also contributed to me wanting to sit down and podcast this week. Again, apologies for the stuffiness and my voice if I'm coughing or anything during the episode. Doing my best to kind of keep that at bay. Now, there's another big thing going on in the world right now. I have to give a couple shout outs to, it's been several days since the last episode of Blitzcast, a couple weeks now. I have a couple more reviews that came out, most namely the Black Series Toba Fett. Got that one out. I also got out my reviews for the Micro Galaxy Squadron TIE Advanced prototype, the Vintage Collection The Stranger, the Micro Galaxy Squadron Razor Crest from The Mandalorian and Grogu. Shout out to BSum75 another ARC Trooper in the Patreon. My man came in clutch and, snagged one at his local Walmart, and I was lucky enough to be one of the first channels on YouTube to have a, full-length review of this product. So thank you, BSum, for thinking of me when you picked that up, and thank you for allowing me to purchase it from you. That was awesome. I also have reviews out for the Hot Toys Plo Koon and the Black Series Jedi Master Dooku. Those are the latest right now. But like I said, it's been a few days since I've released a video at all. Excuse me. And the other part of that, though, is that I have been putting a lot of my efforts, and as of the last 2 weeks, this past week it's been a lot more that I've been sick, but the past 2 weeks before that, I was putting a lot of my free time that I would usually put into making videos and such into a little event, and it might have something to do with why I'm wearing my Clone Wars Clone Trooper shirt right now. It's the March Madness Order 66 edition 2026. This is the second annual March Madness Order 66 edition for the Black Series line. For all my vintage collection fans, keep a lookout. We may be cooking something up with a couple Instagram creators. SWTVC might get in on it, and we may be executing Order 66 on June 6th, for the vintage collection here for a Clone Trooper related event. So March Madness is underway as of the recording of this podcast. Well, as of the time you guys will be seeing this, round 2 will have concluded and the bracket will have been released for round 3. So if you want to check that out, you can see round 3's bracket, everybody that progressed from round 2 to round 3. I believe this makes our Sweet 16 for round 3, and then round 3 will take place over the course of the following 4 days. And then we'll just keep going and going until the end of the month. I have live streams, a kickoff live stream, a bracket reveal live stream, both on YouTube. I've also got, many social media posts with data, with statistics on, the clone, all the submissions, and then out of the clones that made the bracket. And it's just been a really fun event to put together. I've had a lot more fun this year with the event being less last minute, because it was a very last minute event last year, and this time I had a lot more time to plan it, and I already had 1 year of experience under my belt, so I was able to tweak some things from last year's bracket and change some stuff up going into this year's bracket. So overall, I'm really pleased with how this one came together. I feel like it's a lot more buttoned up. I feel like it looks a lot more professional than it did last year, and I'm really happy with it. And of course, it's Clone Trooper focused. So if you're a Clone Trooper fan, if you're a cloner, then you'll enjoy this event. I've been enjoying seeing all the participation. The participation's been, honestly, it's been about the same, if not a little better than last year. Definitely better on the submissions portion of it. A lot more, about almost 250 more submissions this year than there were last year, and the voting on the YouTube polls is about the same, if not a little better than last year. So that's awesome, especially considering that clones are a niche within a niche. So first, to get it to, want to participate in this, you have to be a Black Series collector, and then within that, you have to like and want Clone Troopers in the Black Series. So it's been a really fun event. I enjoy this event. Excuse me. Another thing I did in the last few weeks, I also went down to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania with my beautiful fiance Jennifer. We got to go see my sister Addie in a dance showcase. That was really awesome. It was amazing choreography. And then while we were down there, we checked out a local comic shop. Said it's more of a toy store in Pittsburgh. It's in Pittsburgh proper. It's called D&E Collectibles. Absolutely amazing. Got a Hot Toys Grail of mine that I've been wanting for years now at an insane deal. Really happy with that. And there's a vlog as well as several social media posts on Instagram and TikTok and such about it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So that's it for the housekeeping and such. Housekeeping segment definitely a little longer than normal, but I felt like it, a lot of this needed to be talked about, just kind of give you guys updates on where things are at right now. And it kind of brought me into something that I wanted to talk about. Now, I don't know if we're going to cover this, so on the day this is coming out, there's also going to be another episode of the Sarlacc Digest Toy Chest, so you can check Catch me over there at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time every Monday. We stream over there on YouTube on the Sarlacc Digest channel. I post about it on all my socials every week. Myself, Darth Moocher, and Scott Solo from Sarlacc Digest, as well as my friend Alexander Storm from Shadow Nose Network. The four of us, we pal around and we have a good time. I wanted to, kind of talk about Mando and Grogu coming up. I wanted to talk about, Maul Shadow Lord coming up. And I think that, this is something I've been kind of seeing a little bit of. So maybe this week's episode will be kind of a forewarning to what, is coming up in the next couple months here. We've got some new media projects coming. One is Disney Plus, one is in the movie theater. One is live action, one is animated. One is definitely a lot more appealing to the casual viewer. One is definitely geared a lot more toward the more experienced diehard Star Wars fan. I think what I want to dive into, over the course, kind of just let you guys know where my head's at, maybe start a conversation here. We could have a conversation about it in the comments, talk about it in the Blitz Transmissions Discord as well. When it comes to this new media, there's a lot that I think has jaded Star Wars fans going into the idea of getting multiple projects. We just came out of an era of about 6 years of Star Wars where it was just relentless, bam, 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 rapid fire Star Wars projects in your face. You couldn't even digest the one that just came out before the next one was coming out. Sometimes projects were even overlapping each other, and you were trying to pay attention to two stories in two different eras and two different mediums at the same time. So I think a lot of Star Wars fans have grown very cynical of new Star Wars media, and I think they've really soured on it. And again, I'm saying for good reason. Like, I'm tired of trying to keep up with all the new Star Wars, all the time there's a new project getting announced or coming out. But I think that with that, and we've talked about this a lot on the channel and especially on the Blitzcast, so I don't want to reiterate conversation that I've already had on the Blitzcast, but I definitely want to build on previous conversation. There is a growing apathy toward new media and toward Star Wars. Don't let that ruin your enjoyment of what's to come. Don't let that apathy and don't let that fandom fatigue. I know we've done a whole episode on fandom fatigue before. It might have even been like one of the earlier episodes of the Blitzcast. Don't let that kind of stuff stop you from just enjoying this new media for what it is. I think that both The Mandalorian and Grogu and Maul Shadow Lord are going to offer very different kinds of Star Wars to you, and especially being in such close proximity to one another, and especially us coming off the heels of Andor Season 2, which by many adult fans is revered as being, peak Star Wars, peak Door. I think that a lot of us are coming in with unrealistic expectations. That is something that I know I've talked about, particularly with The Mandalorian and Grogu. But I do see and hear other Star Wars fans, and even like some friends of mine say, like, I'm not going to go see that movie in the theater. Or, I'm not going to watch that show because I don't want to waste my time. I urge you from one Star Wars fan to another to at least give it a chance. I think that we're in a very different place now with the fandom than, and the people working on the projects than we were in 2019, because you have to kind of take a step back and look at it from the business lens of what was going on with Disney and Disney Plus and Lucasfilm at the time. A large part of why we were getting so many series so fast was because Disney Plus was new and Disney was trying to generate revenue through subscriptions to Disney Plus. And how do you keep people keeping their subscriptions? Well, it's not by just having an archive of old media. It's by having new and enticing media ready to go and constantly having something next so that people keep those subscriptions to keep watching. The problem was that Star Wars got really watered down and diluted by those projects. A lot of people, myself included, weren't the biggest fans of shows like Obi-Wan Kenobi or The Book of Boba Fett or Tales of the Empire. There are The Acolyte. A lot of people also are not huge fans of Skeleton Crew. I think it was the push for this constant need for new media that really watered down the brand, and I think that now people associate new projects with that. They see The Mandalorian and they think about the media blitz that was, The Book of Boba Fett and then Mando season 3, which, we've talked about all the time too, how that directly there were larger things at play than just poor storytelling, or storytelling that you didn't like. Because I liked Mando season 3 and I liked parts of the Book of Boba Fett, but I definitely wouldn't say that they're like my favorite things that have come out of the last 10 years of Star Wars. And I think those are very divisive for a lot of fans, and a lot of people have really soured on those particular projects. Obi-Wan Kenobi definitely as well. A lot of people just don't really see the enjoyment in them because there were, it was the whole thing with Gina Carano getting fired, and then Rangers of the New Republic getting canceled, and all the shuffling and the storytelling and the writing that got, messed around with that. And then, there's larger things at play with, these other story beats and like Obi-Wan Kenobi and The Acolyte and such, that, just left a lot of fans feeling like there was a lot to be desired with these shows. I think that because of all of that, there is a certain level of apathy coming from even wanting to spend your time watching The Mandalorian and Grogu or Maul Shadow Lord. And of course, I could play devil's advocate all day. Oh, well, it's my money. I can choose how to spend it. It's my time. I'll choose it. Yeah, dude. If you don't want to go see the movie, don't go see the movie. But what I would encourage you to do is to see the movie anyway. If you are a Star Wars fan, I think it's worth giving Star Wars a chance. It's like I love how people use the restaurant menu analogy, where it's like, oh, if there's a restaurant, they have a bunch of stuff on the menu, you're not going to buy the thing you don't like. But on that same, on the other side of that same coin, if I'm at a diner in the morning and I see that there's a weekly special or there's a new item on the menu, I'm going to go ahead and I'm one of those people, I'm going to try it. And, if I don't like it, I don't like it, but at least I tried it. And I can say that I experienced it once. And, I can speak to my own experience, whether or not it was good or not. And it's honestly very rare that I'll just take someone else's opinion for it. Like if somebody was like, oh, well, I wouldn't, it's not good. It's not good. In the same way, but I especially wouldn't take someone's opinion if they said, oh, well, I didn't try it either, but it's not good. Trust me, it's not good. And I'm seeing that a lot on the internet. I understand that that's just the culture that the Star Wars fandom has been festering in online for several years now, and lots of pop culture in general. I think I said to Shelf Life the other day, and shout out Shelf Life, nerds have just ruined Star Wars. And we've talked about this before. This has been happening since the prequel trilogy days, where just nerds who feel some sort of ownership over the franchise, they feel like they have a voice of authority over the franchise. No, you don't, man. It's just a fictional story in a fictional universe, and I think that we really give it a lot more gravity and value than it actually has. I could say the same about, kind of similarly to the same point, I think that part of it is, well, there's also the narrative, let's boycott this new movie, let's boycott this new series and teach Disney a lesson. Let's teach Lucasfilm a lesson, stick it to the man type thing. And I really enjoyed the last episode of the SWTVC show. I highly recommend you go watch it. They had Eric from the Adventures in Collecting podcast on, and Eric brought up this great point, and this was in reference to Hasbro's Marvel Legends 6-inch Marvel action figure line. There's that same mentality and sentiment toward if you're any kind of a collector of Hasbro stuff, there's the same sentiment toward HasLabs, toward, certain products or certain character choices. And he brought up, I love the way that he articulated it. The only thing you're actually telling that company, because they're a publicly traded company who has shareholders and has, special interests, people that are giving money to the company, those people only care about the company making money. Many of them, most of them, are not action figure collectors. They don't care about these IPs. They don't care about the things that you care about. So stomping your feet, crossing your arms, and saying, we are going to boycott, or I'm going to boycott this. The only thing you're telling them is that it's not that the price is too high. The only thing you're telling them is that they just don't need to do that anymore. So look at the Black Series HasLab Rancor. Perfect example. That was what, 2022? It was either 2021 or 2022. The Rancor, there was that sentiment, a very widespread sentiment of boycotting that project, boycotting that product because of the price, the tiers, perceived value, you name it. All subjective things got turned into, all right, guys, let's collectively. And there was a whole movement where it, excuse me, it got unbacked. And that was just one of those where, has Hasbro done a Black Series HasLab since then? They have not. We're in the big 2026 now. And I can tell you for a fact, there are no current plans for another Black Series HasLab. At this point in time, as I sit here now recording before you, there are no plans for another Black Series HasLab. That is a consequence of what happened before. I'm not just saying mindlessly consume, but if you're going to stomp your feet and cross your arms about something, the company isn't going to get it. The message you're trying to send is not going to be received by the company. The shareholders, the bean counters, the suits, the people that we talk about all the time on this channel, they don't care about the why. They just look at the numbers. They see, okay, this was offered and it didn't succeed, so we're not going to do anything like this anymore. Star Wars is returning to theaters for the first time in 7 years. Has it been 7 years? Almost 7 years. And excuse me. And I foresee, I could foresee a similar boycotting of, new media slop, in air quotes, from film bros and from, people that just have soured on the new media, have this apathetic attitude toward it. If Mando's not your thing, it's not your thing. But I think that if you don't go to the theater because you're boycotting something, and that's your only reason for not going, then you're shooting yourself in the foot as a Star Wars fan. Because then when there's no when the box office numbers aren't good, the shareholders are going to say, people just don't want to see Star Wars in the theaters anymore. And they're never going to do it again. Yes, they already have Starfighter in mind, but anything can happen, man. They could move that to a Disney Plus release. They could, change it to a multi-part limited series on Disney Plus. I think that people think they have a lot more control over these things than they do. And at the end of the day, these companies don't care. These big publicly traded companies, they do not care about the individual fan stomping their feet and crossing their arms. If it was the brand team, I think it's a different level of care. I think that the creative minds at Lucasfilm and the brand teams at Hasbro, the people that are actually making the product, I think that those people actually do care. Regardless of whether you like all of them or not, I think that they genuinely care about making something, out of passion. Whereas the people above them, the powers that be, they don't care about these things. Hasbro's Star Wars team, for example, they're going to take into account what people said, why the Rancor didn't work, what people were complaining about most. But the people above them, they don't care. They only care about the bottom line. So that is what I caution you about. Excuse me. If you're kind of waiting to hear what your favorite YouTuber says about this movie, I would say still go see it regardless of if I and every other person tell you that The Mandalorian and Grogu sucks ass. If everyone says that this movie's garbage, I still think you should go see it and experience it for yourself. And if we all enjoy it, we're going to go see it multiple times, and that's going to be the thing that drives up the sales numbers on the tickets. I don't think you're making a point by not going at all. I think the only point you're making is that you're telling the suits and the people that, again, don't care about the why. They don't care about, oh, I don't like Dave Filoni. Oh, I think Mando Season 3 was slop. They don't care about that. They don't care about your opinions about projects. They just see, oh yeah, not enough people went and saw this movie. It didn't make enough money. We're never doing this again. So if you want to support it, if you want to see Star Wars in the theaters, if you want to see, don't shortchange. I guess that's my point. I get it. The whole, it's my money, I'll spend it how I want. I'm not telling you how to spend your money, because that's a common counter argument that I get a lot. It's more the argument of, don't shortchange yourself as a fan. Don't suck the joy out of something that's supposed to be fun, especially a movie like Mando and Grogu. This is clearly being marketed as the next family Star Wars event. This is clearly being marketed as to me, very similarly to how the Clone Wars movie was marketed. It's marketed toward families, to go take your little ones to go see. It's marketed toward Star Wars fans to go watch some explosions, watch some cool fights happen. I don't think that it's going to be the next Empire. I don't think it's going to be the next Andor. But what I do think is that this movie is going to be something that is going to, like I said on last episode from a few weeks ago, create a new generation of fan. And there are these powers of the dark side that are trying to trick you into waiting to see their YouTube video about what they thought about the movie, and without you being able to make your own decision. Just as much as I am a person who considers themselves very knowledgeable on Star Wars, I think that everyone should try to experience, do or do not, there is no try. I think everybody should just go experience things for themselves. If you think you won't like the movie, if you have no interest in the movie, then you just have no interest in the movie. That's one thing. But if you're making such a point to say, I'm not going to see it because this YouTuber said not to, because this YouTuber said that it's, slop or blah, 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 I think it's just redundant. I think that you should be an adult, make your own decisions, have your own opinions. And that's something that I preach all the time on this channel. I have friends that disagree with me on this very subject, and we've debated it back and forth. But we can still be friends, and it's just a difference of opinion. And someone else the next YouTuber that you watch about this similar topic might tell you something completely opposite. And that's okay. Difference of opinion is okay, and it's welcome, But I think we as a Star Wars fandom need to really reel in the cringe in the community. I think we all need to come to our senses and not be tempted by the dark side. Because at the end of the day, as Obi-Wan says to Maul in Clone Wars, I believe it's season 5, only the weak embrace it. It takes true strength to not be tempted by the dark side, and to withstand it, and to resist it. I could totally make a clickbait video and put it out tomorrow and talk about how Dave Filoni sucks, and Kathleen Kennedy, her hands are all over this project, and my vote of no confidence in the Chancellor. But I think that Star Wars brings me joy. That's what it is. Star Wars brings me joy. I deal with real life situations every day that I go to work, and Star Wars is my escapism. And I think that we live in a pretty cushy time right now, and I think that a lot of people have forgotten that. I think there's also there's like a death grip on like YouTube, especially on Star Wars right now, from people that aren't actually Star Wars fans. They're just nerds and film bros who like pop culture, and who like some of Star Wars, that, because they don't have that passion, they have to fill that void with something in their content. And because their content has caught on, now they feel like they have to fill that void with like being overly critical of everything. Dude, get a life. It's like, people that, live real struggle, I don't see that from those people. People that have experienced and lived through real struggle, I have never seen that from those people. There's a certain level of humility that comes with actual struggle. And it brings you to have a much deeper appreciation for things like Star Wars. And not everything needs to be silly. Not everything, just as much as not everything needs to be silly, not everything needs to be dark and gruesome and gory and serious. And that's just not, again, I think that if that's what your obsession is, and that's the only thing you find cool and good, I think that, again, speaks to a lack of hardship in your life. Because, again, it's very similarly to how I was talking about the content on YouTube. You're seeking to fill a void, and you're seeking to fill that void with fake conflict, with fake, and then you create fake conflict. You stir the pot. You bring up, and that's kind of where my head's at on this whole thing. I think I'm gonna end this podcast here soon, because I'm starting to lose it here. My throat's getting dry. My stuffiness is really starting to kick in now. One of my nostrils is currently clogging up as we speak. But that's kind of where I wanted to leave it. I really want to encourage, as we go into Mando and Grogu land for the next couple months. I mean, all the toys are dropping on Sunday. You'll see a really cool collab vlog with me and several other channels that comes out the following day, Monday the 23rd. A big, bounty hunting with Blitz style episode. I think it's very, very crucial, very important to keep that in mind as we go into this next era of Star Wars. This is something that gives you an opportunity, something to be excited about with Star Wars. Let's bring back the excitement and the fun and just being a fan. I can speak to that, especially as a prequel fan, as a Clone Wars fan. Are the prequel trilogy and the Clone Wars show the most amazing Star Wars ever? Hell no. It is not, no way am I trying to say that it's on the same level of like writing and all that as Andor is, for example. I will never try to make that point. But there's so much to love in Star Wars that's more than writing and pacing and effects and blah blah blah. And which, by the way, Star Wars has always been known for its effects, so that one I will contest on myself. But Star Wars is so much more. Star Wars is a universe to get lost in. Star Wars is something to immerse yourself in. Star Wars doesn't have to make logical sense all the time. Star Wars doesn't have to be so grounded in reality all the time. And that is something that I think is very important. I think a lot of us in the fandom are really losing sight of that. I think that, we're losing sight of what Star Wars is at its core. That's something obviously I've had time to think about over the last few days now. And I just thought it was a point that needed brought up on the podcast. As I go into these next few weeks, these next few months, between Maul Shadow Lord and, the Mandalorian and Grogu, excuse me, there's going to be, I'm sure there are going to be episodes where I'm talking about, and there have been episodes on the Blitzcast especially, where I've talked about things that I didn't like, and, things that are going on with the powers that be, with the suits and the bean counters and things that I'm frustrated with. But when it comes to Star Wars itself, I just love getting lost in the universe. I love paying attention to what alien species are walking around in the background. I love paying attention to, little quips and phrases and what props, how they made the set pieces and the props. And that's what Star Wars is, man. That's what it's always been. We could do this better, man. We are the real fans. Famous Michael Havens quote. Shout out ICC Con. which I don't know if I talked about it here. I did get press. Shout out to the fine folks at ICCCon. I did get press. But seriously, it is that same, like we have just, like, I think we as a fandom online have really lost the plot. You know, between the people that are using Star Wars to weaponize their, or I should say, weaponizing Star Wars, you know, as a front to talk about their American politics and literally make it good versus evil. That's cringe, and the grifting, you know, the anti-woke stuff is cringe, and it's all this around us, and I'm like, we are just losing the passion for Star Wars right now. So I guess I urge you guys, don't give in to the dark side. Don't forget why you fell in love with Star Wars. Don't forget what Star Wars is there for. Excuse me. And don't forget that it's something that's meant to be enjoyed. That's the biggest takeaway from this week, guys. Don't forget that it's something that's meant to be enjoyed. Much like I said in the beginning of the episode for this week, you know, in my real life, I've you know, what a privilege it is that I get to have so many things that I want and like to do that I have to pick between them day to day. Very much the same with Star Wars. What a privilege it is that we have so much Star Wars to look at. What a privilege it is that we live in a time where there's so much new content coming out that we get to pick and choose what we want to see and what we don't want to see, and what we enjoy and what we don't enjoy. And I'd say I generally encourage you, if you are a Star Wars fan, to go watch The Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters. Watch Maul Shadow Lord on Disney Plus. Give it a chance. If you're a Star Wars fan, give it a chance. And if you go into it with that different mindset and that different lens, you might really pleasantly surprise yourself. So with that, I've been babbling too long. I can feel I need to stop now. I hope that my definitely stuffy and raspy voice this week did not bother anybody. I just needed to sit down. I've got like cabin fever. I've been sitting in silence in the house too much. And that's definitely, if you know me, that's not my vibe. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Blitzcast. Of course, if you did and you're not yet subscribed, subscribe. All the links in the description below. Go check out March Madness. I have polls on the posts tab of my YouTube channel. I share links to them on all my social media. Round 3 will be out. You get to check out the matchups, and round 3 will begin tomorrow. Check out Sarlacc Digest Toy Chest tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time over on the Sarlacc Digest channel on YouTube. Again, that'll be posted on all the social media. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Quick plug. Shout out to our not sponsors. We just love to support them. Carbonites, Cube Squadron. Who else is that it? Plasticnews.com. The Syndicate. Go follow the Syndicate Discord. I'm going to start putting that link in there as well for the Syndicate Discord. Also go check out Toy Hunter. Toy Hunter without the E. I've been putting my collection in there finally. After all this time, I've been meaning to start logging my collection. Toy Hunter. There it is. It's available on iOS right now on the App Store. Great way to log your collection. And let's say you're at a toy show and I just gained 1 XP. I'm level 2 right now, guys. I'm level collector because I've been putting stuff in my collection. But check it out. I've been putting stuff in my collection. You can put all your items in there. They already have preloaded items that you can put in, so you don't have to, I've been putting it in manually just for my own records. But you don't have to do that. You can put in all your stuff, because if you check it out, there's the Toy Hub here. Let's say I want to look at Black Series, right? So let's go to Star Wars Black Series. All figures in the line. They're in alphabetical order. You could search them up one by one. So let's say, I want to look up... The Mandalorian, since it's a topic we've been talking about lately. Hey, look, every Mandalorian figure that's in Mando packaging, every character named the Mandalorian shows up. It gives you the current going rate as well. So I guess I'll show this as well. If you're looking at, if I want to search up an item, say I'm at a toy show and I want to know if I'm paying too much, let's look up Glavis Ringworld, because that's a figure that constantly goes up and down in price. Search up Glavis Ringworld. It takes a second. Oh, Hybrid Toy Reviews just posted on Instagram. Check it out. You can see Oh, look it. Here's all these figures that are up for sale right now. The Mandalorian, Glavis Ringworld. You can see several listings here. And it tells you, you know, if you're going to be overpaying or underpaying. Definitely recommend it. Really cool app if you're on iOS. You can get it right now in the App Store. If you're on Android, join the Syndicate Discord. You can ask to be a beta tester because they're still in the beta phase on Android. All that to say, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I need to get some rest. I need some Dayquil. I need some coffee. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode of the Blitzcast. I'll catch you for the next one, and may the Force be with you.
Breaking off. All units, fire at will. 1-2, pick your target. Too many, Captain. Watch your stabilizer, Gold 6. Anybody cover me. I got 2 vultures on my tail. You've got to hold them here. Watch your left. I can't shake them. I'm hit. Where's our reinforcements?